meeting of the traffic advisory meeting to order. I guess roll call.
Chair Pacheco,
Yes.
Police Chief Borges,
Here.
Deputy Fire Chief Waha,
Present.
Andy Merrick,
Myra. Here.
and Andy Sturman.
Here.
Okay. If there are any items that arose after the cemetery posting, just the time, they can be added to the agenda with 2/3 majority vote. Is there anything that needs to be added? Seeing that, we're gonna move on. Public comment. For commission, members of the public wishing to address the commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Seaside, but not on this agenda, may do so during public comment period after up to 3 minutes. Comments on specific agenda items are heard under that item. For the public record, please state your name. I don't see anybody here. Is there anybody?
No attendees and nothing was sent beforehand.
Okay. I'm gonna give it. I was kind of sort of expecting somebody, but his time is up. Okay. Approval of the minutes from March 21, 2022 special meeting.
Move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
You can just do all in favor, right?
Yeah, all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Business items. Remove the 2-hour parking signs in front of the Jaguar Land Rover Volvo dealership at 1711 Del Monte Boulevard. Ms. Leslie, is that your report?
Yes. I do have a little presentation. It's really short. There. So I received, the city received a request to remove the 2-hour parking signs in front of the Jaguar Land Rover Volvo dealership at 1711 Del Monte. So, the Jaguar Land Rover Volvo dealership is located at 1711 Del Monte Boulevard. And the frontage along Del Monte of that dealership is approximately 600 feet. There are, the area zoned for 2-hour parking is 165 feet long, and it's located between the driver approaches of the second building. Can you point with here? Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, it's to the northern building. So between that driver approach and the next driver approach up. So that's the area of the 2-hour parking. And there's 2 parking spaces in front of the southernmost building, south of Clementina, by the bus stop right here. Del Monte Boulevard is classified as an arterial roadway with a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour. There are 4 lanes, 2 lanes in either direction, and parking permitted on both sides of the street. The remainder of the corridor from Clementina Street to Augustana Parkway, Tioga Avenue does not have time-limited parking restrictions. So can you go to the next picture? This is the area that is being requested to be removed. There's about 7 to 8 parking spaces in front of that building, designated for 2-hour parking. The general manager is requesting this and indicated that there's limited customer and staff parking on site, and is aware if the request is granted, the area will revert back to unlimited timed parking. And so, staff recommends removing the 2-hour parking signs in front of 1711 Del Monte Boulevard, and having this parking area reverted back to unlimited parking. Any questions?
No questions, I have some.
I have a couple questions. So who was requesting this? Was it,
The general manager of the Land Rover Volvo dealership. Previously, that was installed, I want to say in 2006 for two-hour parking. The previous owner or dealership manager, Sam Linder, requested two-hour parking because of all-day parking.
Right.
In front of his business. But that was before the auto center revamped and took away most of his parking because he's at that intersection at Clementina. So before it didn't have a signal there, and he had more parking. And now he has less, but he's aware, and this is.
did you say there was a different business that was aware of what would happen? Or
No,
same-
it's the same guy.
same
Like, yeah, the general manager of the dealership, who's requesting it, because I told him, well, you realize if we move to two-hour parking,
Yeah.
people might be parking there all day long. And he said, I'm aware.
The last question I think is neighboring businesses, do they have any conflict with that?
The neighboring businesses, so the business as further north, if you can go back to
Other
that,
businesses in that area?
his Lexus is unlimited. The Lexus is to the north, and to the south is a Newton Brothers, who's not time restricted on Del Monte, and then further, I'm sorry, south, and then further south of that, further south is Nissan, which does have two-hour parking in front of it. Probably from a request of theirs. So when they requested it, we didn't have parking enforcement, and it was to deter people from parking all day.
Yeah.
And, now we have parking enforcement. They requesting it to be removed.
All right, thank you.
So my questions are, so if you go down that street on the, towards Seaside High,
Yes, north.
north, you see cars parked consistently car to car, anywhere from regular cars to homeless vehicles to whatever. But it's like car, I mean, it's literally for blocks. So there's no parking basically, because I imagine staff from the dealership are parked there and others that are parked there overnight, etc. And then, so what we're gonna have, what it basically is parking on the south side, I guess, on the opposite side, let's use that word. That's gonna be the same thing, cars, staff, whoever gets there first, probably staff at 8 o'clock or 7:30, whatever time they come to work. They're gonna be there logically for the same thing, or there'll be homeless vehicles, or I would say good staff, good chunk of staff. Okay, but then we just, but the other brothers wanted to do the same thing. It's different, but it was for their staff.
The other brothers wanted an exemption from the two-hour parking restriction,
Right,
which is different than asking for it to be removed.
but is this gonna be because one group, the next owner, are they gonna want something different? And then Carnelli's gonna want the same thing, and is that okay with everybody? You know what I'm saying? I just don't know. It sounds like we're walking back and forth.
I think West Broadway is a little different than Del Monte.
Yeah.
And it was a consensus that the whole West Broadway would be two-hour parking because of the businesses.
Right,
And the type of businesses.
right. I agree with
The
that.
auto center is a little different.
I'm thinking that they might be asking for the wrong thing for what they're trying to do, because what they want is they want parking to be available when someone shows up for work in the morning, and if you just go to unmarked, there's a decent chance that there's gonna be a car there from the night before. So maybe what they really want is to prohibit parking between like 9 PM and 6 AM. So,
Prohibit parking?
yeah, so that you can't park overnight.
From 9 AM.
9 PM to 6 AM. So no overnight parking essentially, but that way some people have to move their cars every day. I don't know what that means for enforcement or how that would play out, but otherwise, I think what's gonna happen is, like, Sheriff said, we're just gonna end up with people who are just gonna park there and stay overnight, and they're gonna show up in the morning to park, and now they don't know where to park, and where are they gonna park? They're gonna have to drive around somewhere and park, and then they're gonna move it later, if they even move their car, because it could be for 3 days. I don't think that getting rid of the 2-hour parking solves that issue.
I didn't go into depth with him on his conversation of removing the 2-hour parking.
And I
So,
just looking at the photo, is parking allowed on both sides of the street?
yes,
So there's no parking restriction on the northbound side, and
Okay.
there's nobody parked there.
right.
Okay, so maybe there's just no demand at all, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
On the, often though, and maybe I'm wrong, the chief could probably better say I'm wrong or right, which I don't mind being wrong. When I go there, I see parking lined up on the
Oh, yeah,
northbound.
it's lined up.
It's actually, when I went out there to take this photo, it was further, north from, across the street from here. There's a bus stop right there on the corner, of Clementina, of Del Monte and Clementina. And then past that, where you're able to park, it was clear, and then it starts getting congested with parking further up, like across the street from
And this
Lexus
is-
and the tire shop
Yeah.
and Granite.
Dodge,
Yeah, there you go, by Dodge.
when it starts right
Toyota
up
has
there.
parking, it looks like.
And there are some red zones that as you go further north. But
Yeah, there are some
Yeah.
reasons.
parking is rare up there because people are working, you have employees primarily, they look where they could park and they go to work. So when you look at the cars up and down the Monte on the northeast side of the roadway, going towards Eastside High, almost every one of those cars is an employee of the dealership, and they park there. And the ones that have the 2-hour zones oftentimes complain because they have to move their cars, or they'll even try to sneak and park at some of the red spots. So yeah, I think parking, but to Andy's point, I kind of agree with that to a point of not taking that off, but, if this is the request that they have, that specifically, then I'm not certainly opposed to it. If this is what they want, it becomes a problem, and they can always come back with something different.
Can we do this as a suggestion based on what, I'm just throwing out an idea? Make signs saying no parking from 6 PM or no parking from 6 PM or whatever till
9 PM.
whatever it be.
Or would you want to say like,
I don't know how you would phrase it, but what you don't want is a bunch of vehicles that are parking overnight. Is
it's the
that,
only place on the street that would have no overnight parking though, as opposed to the other side, which we don't have any signs.
oh, that's important.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm
Might be a
restricted
bigger
everywhere else, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe it's something that we should be looking at for the whole street. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that idea too, because once people figure out there's 2-hour zones in other spots, think about it, if you work in that area, and you're gonna see, oh, now you can park here, I'm gonna come a little earlier, I'm gonna snag one of these spots, I don't have to worry about my car, yeah, I have to walk a little further, but at least I don't have to move my car every 2 hours, that's
Right.
fine with me. So those, 5, 6, 7 spots are gonna be gold like the other ones will too. But can we even take a request like this and expand it out? Is that something we cannot do?
like to expand it out to what?
To say, like his idea to say,
Propose something different than what they had.
16, 1700 blocks of Del Monte are all 2-hour zones are gone, but it's still parking between 9 PM and 6 AM.
Mm,
Is that too much of a,
I think
beyond
we'd have to
scope?
agendize it as such,
Yeah.
to really take that action.
Because we didn't alert, we sent
Right.
notices to this, Jason property that's here, but we didn't alert the whole corridor that we're doing.
But you're gonna agendize it no matter what, right?
We agendized
You're
this
gonna agendize
particular-
this, but whatever you do, you're gonna have to agendize something.
Yeah, if we were to
Yeah,
do something else, we'd have to agendize everything, and then we send out notices to neighboring businesses that would be affected if we moved it to our parking. So Toyota would know about it, Lexus knows about it, and I think we even went as far as Nissan to know that we are removed, this request is being made to us about removing it to our parking.
Can you do this? I'm just trying to find a win-win. you bring it to the council, that you have to do no matter what.
Right.
Option one is give the man what he wants. And option two is, for lack of doing what Andy suggests.
Remove all, for everywhere?
Yeah,
Everywhere in the money?
because that's what,
No overnight parking everywhere.
from 9 PM to 6 AM, because does that make any sense to you?
I mean, because like I said, you have this one little spot that you have this one rule, and you go down the block, there are 2 businesses over, it's like, well, it's 2-hour parking here, or it's all day parking here. Well,
I mean, we should do it on Fremont too.
yeah,
I mean, no overnight park, because we do have no overnight parking in the Muni Code for these streets
that's
if they're
true.
signed.
Yeah.
They're not signed for it.
If there's what?
If they're signed,
Yeah.
if there's a sign giving notice thereof, you cannot have overnight parking.
Is there a sign for now?
No, but in
But
our
you-
code for
but
the
you-
street.
Yeah, so in the code, you've got, I think, 4 different parking restrictions. You got loading zone, which is 20-minute. You got like 2 hour, 1 hour and 2 hour, 2 hour and 3 hour, they're short duration, and then you got no overnight.
Right. And
But you don't have anything in between. You don't have like
Right.
a no parking 4 to 6 in the evening or
No,
something like that.
but you do have no sleeping in a vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's what we would enforce, we do. So if there's a vehicle there, if they left it unattended, there's nothing we can do to enforce it. But if somebody's in their car sleeping, which is quite frankly the case in most situations, we can enforce that piece and move them along based upon that violation.
But Andy's idea. Look, and maybe what I see is a lot of, and I don't go out past 9, 10 o'clock very often, but when I do, I see a lot of overnight staying on that street, as well as Fremont is not as much. Would this give you any bite, any teeth, I guess is a better word,
Definitely.
because there is a concern by the general public about, or at least from mayor, and I tend to agree that of the amount of parking, overnight parking, that shouldn't be over parking. I'm just saying, would this give it teeth to enforce the law? I'm not saying the council will support it, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think so. If there's a sign and there's something to enforce, we would enforce it. And as it stands now, if nobody's in a vehicle at nighttime, or there's not a 2-hour zone, we're most likely not gonna contact that car.
So I guess. I'd like to-
2006, who paid for the signs?
The city.
The city paid it for the signs then. Now we are, I think, letting, the requester pays for the signs for 2-hour parking. So for this new, the city would be paying for all the signs along Del Monte for no overnight parking.
Right, that would make
Just,
sense.
yeah.
And you said that there's a code section about no overnight parking,
Yeah,
so we
it's
wouldn't have to reinvent something.
Right,
We
you
just
would-
use whatever that is.
Exactly.
We just have to sign it.
Yeah, you just have to sign
Yeah.
it.
Right,
So since they were installed in 2006, we were enforcing, but now are enforcing, they're enforcing.
So what?
The signs are enforceable now.
Mhm, mhm. They always were enforceable.
But they weren't being enforced.
They
Like-
were, we didn't have
Like
parking.
if,
Right, yeah, park.
You
if,
have to sign up.
we used to say, we have limited enforcement.
Yeah.
If you would like the sign, you would need to call. And then they would
Right.
call and then they can get cited and then it would be that way. But now that we have enforcement,
Yeah, don't worry, the enforcement will be there.
yeah, enforcement is
Guaranteed.
everywhere, yeah,
That's
that's really
good.
good.
So,
I'll make the motion, I'll try, I'll attempt it. I'll make the motion to approve this particular item and to also request, I guess, the council to add overnight parking on Del Monte, on all the commercial district. Del Monte.
Second.
I don't know if I need to be specific on the times, the overnight, but I like the 9 PM because some dealers do.
Where the Muni Code says.
Yeah, I think there is a,
Dusk to dawn.
No, it's later.
it might be like 10 to,
It's like, it's
10 to
9 or
6.
10 to 6 in the morning. It's,
Yeah, whatever
that
meeting.
that
is.
makes sense.
So,
and maybe staff comes back with a recommendation as to where, I mean, Del Monte from where to where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know that either.
For Broadway on it.
Yeah, I'd say Broadway, because you can't park on the other part of Del Monte, 'cause there's a bike lane.
Right.
On the east side of the roadway.
Broadway to
Broadway to,
Fremont.
well, parking goes, gosh, parking
To,
honestly goes all the way up to
Oh,
Passport Grove.
Yeah,
Could be-
It goes all the way to Fremont.
yeah, so
Yeah.
from Broadway to Fremont, basically,
Yeah.
or go however
Which
you want.
will affect a couple of vehicles that are parked there behind the hotel.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a good
It's even
thing.
better.
I think that's I could live,
But,
personally
yeah,
live with
yeah,
that. I couldn't live
If
with it before.
you're on the hotel front, you may not want to put a sign there because the hotel is full, then we run out of on-site parking. We can get into that detail. when we
Yeah.
Look at
And
it.
no, there's a commercial truck, a trailer that parks up there.
And they all have their own parking, in most of those places have parking,
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, every hotel there has its own.
has its own parking. So I hear there's a motion, there's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for the idea.
Can I just clarify that? Approved request to remove 2-hour parking along, in the frontage of 1711 Del Monte and sign Del Monte for no overnight parking from Broadway to Fremont.
Yes.
From 9 or 10 to 6. Whatever the answer, whatever the code says. That's a good idea. Review and discuss fiscal year 23-24 work plan and direct staff to forward recommendations to city council for approval.
All right, I will handle that one. We have the 2023-2024 work plan for Traffic Advisory Committee. And guys, for your review and recommendation, that will be part of the budget that will be presented for approval to city council. The work plan document itself that was in the packet included some history and background, as well as what was accomplished last year. And highlighted here on the presentation are the 5 items for this next fiscal year's work plan. So I open it up for questions or comments.
Any questions, any thoughts, any additions, any subtractions?
I have some, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we need to specifically mention anything about second driveways? Or is that covered in any of these other ones?
What specifically about second driveways?
It doesn't provide recommendations on applications for second driveways.
Yeah, I think this work plan is specific to things for this next upcoming fiscal year versus what we do in general. So approving second driveways, or signs, or curbs, is that correct?
Yeah, it'd probably be evaluated under number 4.
Okay, because
Yeah,
that's what we did
yeah.
for the other commissions, was standard regular things. We put that as a part of the work plan.
So,
Just add that as like an item 6.
Yeah.
Which should just be,
Like, planning commission, we said review permit applications, make decisions on certain permits.
or we can expand on number 4, to evaluate traffic calming applications for implementation.
You say traffic calming and.
Oh, traffic calming, I'm
And
sorry.
second driveways.
Or,
Yeah, I mean,
or all applications.
or you can use that as item 6.
Yeah.
Permit applications and make recommendations.
here you go.
And I would also just, and this may be just a minuscule thing, but we have a lot of areas in Seaside where you have curb paintings, green in particular, but no signage. And that's very difficult. So we always get this confusion of citing people for 24-minute violation, 30-minute violation, 2-hour violation. And yeah, so I know Broadway, east of Fremont has some green curbage in the 1200 block. Echo Avenue, where the pizza place is, Straw Hat now, there's some green curb there, but there's no signage. So we get disputes all the time, and they do it as a 2-hour thing. But there's no signage that you enforce any of that stuff. So a lot of those tickets, they don't stand.
Right.
So I'm thinking of maybe adding something in our work plan, and maybe it doesn't need to be, but twofold. One is to really identify areas that have been marked with curbing to have signs that actually are clear. And with signage, we have a lot of signs that are already like on Broadway, they're already starting to fade and there's some that are really, if you look at on the side streets, in particular Broadway, where the vacuum shop is, you look at these signs and they're fading quickly and people will dispute and say, I saw a sign, but I couldn't read it. And there's a picture like, oh my God, I can't read it either. Even though they know what it is, I think we have to, I don't know if that's our role in our work plan, but I think it needs to be somewhere where we have clear signage and curb markings, so we're doing it the proper way. I don't know if that needs to go in here or not, but I want to throw that out there.
So is that getting added to
I don't think that goes in the work plan, but it goes in the minutes.
the, okay?
And then we'll pass that to Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I just saw a request today that wanted to put in for replacing a faded sign, so I think that's on their radar, that it'll be good to highlight that again.
And in terms of the curbs and the signage, is that something that should come to Dave as well?
I think so, and then maybe even notice the property owners. Because like you said, green in our community code is 20 minutes. And if they think it's 2 hours, that's not what it means. So we just make sure that, by the way, this is 2-hour parking, it's gonna be signed for 20-minute parking.
So even like
Any
the curbs, we
questions,
just get,
call
you
us.
know, just a stencil, 20 minutes. That would be super helpful.
But if you're parking for them and you don't know what's green, your people see a sign, it's easier, right?
A sign would be great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a green area right in front of Seaside Creek that is a 2-hour sign on it.
Yeah, same as.
That's because they did an evaluation for West Broadway,
They changed it.
and they have certain 20-minute parkings along Broadway, 2 hours, and then like each block has like 1 or 2 20-minute parking spots for those quick times where you just
But
have to
there's a
jump
sign
in.
right next to it that says 2 hours.
It's
Yeah,
not
that's
posted 20
And
minutes.
the sign's gonna have to say 2
Yeah,
hours. except
nobody's signing
green.
for 20 minutes.
Green is 20 minutes and everything else is 2 hours.
I always
Yeah.
thought it was 2 hours in the green, because that's what the sign said.
All of our parks are usually 2 hours.
Oh,
Because there's
yeah.
no, other than the green. And
Community
that's
is
just not very.
green, but I can pull up that report where it says that, and I don't.
Well, I believe you that that's what the report says. I just,
We just need to mark
that's
it.
not what the sign
Right, you
says.
just have to mark it.
Normally you have
Okay.
2 signs right next to each other. You know, you got one that says 2-hour parking this way, one that says 20-minute parking that way, or no parking this way, 20 minutes this way, whatever.
It is a problem.
Whatever the break
We
is.
lose a lot of tickets because of that.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a 2-hour parking, but then they say, well, from where to where? Should be from here to here with arrows, like you said. It
Yeah.
looks very clean and professional. So anyway, that's a signage thing, maybe it's something offline that we can work with Public Works on.
Yeah.
Getting that stuff dialed up would be very helpful. We have issued 0 tickets for violating the 20-minute zone, and we have green all throughout the city.
What about loading?
I think we have some loading ones.
Yeah, you do, but I mean, have you issued any
I
for
think we've
that?
had some loading tickets,
Okay.
yeah. I know we've had,
Okay.
in particular on Broadway, which is a challenge too.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
is there an effort to make a motion on this?
Move approval of the work plan with the addition of item 6, review permit applications and make recommendations to council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So staff communication, I have one question, but I'm not staff here, so I'll just make it after everybody else has anything else.
I just want to invite everyone to our Hilby Avenue traffic calming community meeting tomorrow night. If you can't make the tour, you can make the meeting at 6:30 at the Oldemeyer Center. I believe it's the Laguna Grande, is that the big one? The big one? There it is. In the Laguna Grande at 6:30 at the Oldemeyer Center. 986 Hilby Avenue.
My only comment or hope, and I think this should be able to be done in-house without going to the council, recently MSP made a lot of changes in their bus route. Now use Yosemite as example, by Bethel Church. There's a large red, it's across the street to be exact, from the other church. But there's a large bus there in, I believe by the Casino Park, but which disallows parking. Can we paint those back to the way they are since MPST has no longer using those spots? Is that, and that would allow for more parking in those areas where now they can't park there even though there's no bus. I think that can be done. I mean, there's two ways to do that. I could bring it up and fight through the council process, or two, we could just use what I would consider common sense and just take care of it, so we can allow our residents to park in areas that were initially used for buses. Hopefully you understand that.
I put in a C-Click Fix ticket, about 2 months ago to get that fixed for that very reason. You have these vacant, on San Pablo or LaSalle? San Pablo, no, I'm sorry, LaSalle. I mean, it's probably like 10 car loads on both sides of the street. Bus stop, but the bus stop was removed. And we were giving tickets for parking in a red zone, but the bus route doesn't go there anymore. So I've seen nothing, they're still there. Someone just got another ticket for it, and I'm like, okay, well, I definitely think, and again, that might be just a direct through Public Works to get, they should not be red if the bus doesn't go there anymore.
Yeah, I think if
Right.
MS.
There's one on Casino Park,
I just want to say something about Katina
and
Park.
there's one at the church
Right.
on Yosemite.
I think those, that are in front of residential, yeah, we can refer back to the one in front of Catino Park on San Pablo. Maybe we consider loading instead because it's right in front of the entrance. If you get a big car and you can't see, because it's right in front of our big, grand, beautiful entrance and the bus is only there for whatever time when they were there, but now they're not there at all. And just blocking the entrance for parking, maybe loading, dropping off your kid to go to practice or something. I thought that.
So this is
more
my
like open.
suggestion, if we can do this in-house rather than going
No, I think we can do it in-house.
without going to the council. That makes sense because when you come to that corner, there's blind spots, get it? But the area by your area by San Pablo, by the church, by where they're taking up, like you say, by the church is like 6 to 8 spots because the buses are so big. And it just allows people that want to park and go to church. And same thing on San Pablo, because they just do, and the buses are no longer there, and it's kind of, your guys are getting potential tickets for no cost. And you guys should be able to handle that in-house without going through a city council process, but that's my belief. I mean, what do I know?
No, I think that could happen.
And I want to add that I don't know if this is accurate, because I really have no idea, but I was told that the owner in front of the food corner market there, right by Catino, painted a red curve near the intersection. It's red. It is a red curve, or maybe it's a green curve rather, I think. Whatever it
If it's
is.
green, it's not allowed. If it's green, it's not allowed. We
I
never
want to
put
say it was
in
green.
there.
So I don't know if that's accurate, but if it is, maybe it's something that somebody can follow up on because it's painted, right on the Noche Buena side. And I want to say it's green. And
Sometimes Alfred sends us things and asks us if it's valid, and if it's not valid, we'll take care of it and revert it back.
okay, I'll reach out to you guys,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure it's green. And it was nice, it was bright. I'm like, oh, that's a really nice green, but the city didn't put up signs again. I thought, well,
Yeah, we need
and
to.
this goes, well, that's because the city didn't approve it. I'm like, really? Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
So can you,
Yeah, we'll take that.
take care of that and maybe inform at least me or the committee what was date on that? Because those MST buses are significantly in size. I mean, one in front of the Oldemeyer said it was like 40 feet. And it's,
It's not there anymore?
I'm just using that as an
Oh,
example
yeah.
because that's when I remember
Okay.
it took up
Right,
huge
it
amounts
does.
of parking. Just let us know so that way we can let the, those that have contacted, I guess both of us, about the significant problem.
Do you have like a consolidated list of all the parking restricted zones.
That would be very helpful and make some people, a lot of people happy, but legit tip that's in regarding
Oh,
over the
LaSalle is the
services.
one, it's LaSalle, if you drive up, you'll see this major gap. And you have apartment complexes and the trailers there, it's really bad.
Right, so, yeah, that would be great if that was, those little small victories that we can do in-house or without jumping through hurdle violence. Thank you so very much for that. And just let me know if you can or the chief or both of us, all of us. Anything else? Okay, so it is 5:35. I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Good night, have a good day.
There, you